Hello there! Welcome to episode number 4 of Driftless Knitting. My name is Jennifer, and I'm your host. I'm coming to you from sunny La Crescent, Minnesota. It's a beautiful, crisp, gorgeous fall day out there. I'm almost feeling a little guilty for sitting inside right now, but I think later on, Seaver and I are going to go up to one of the apple orchards that's here in La Crescent. For those of you who don't know, La Crescent is Minnesota's apple capital, or maybe, I don't think it's the apple capital of the U.S. I think that's a pretty high claim to make, but it's definitely the apple capital of Minnesota. So we have Apple Fest here, and we have a couple really, really great farm stands and markets that are open seasonally. There's some good apple orchards and stuff like that in the hills. So that's pretty cool. I'm just, kind of getting in tune with La Crescent and the area around here because we just moved here in June. Even though it's only like 30 miles from where I lived in Winona, it's a little, they have different festivals, different events going on, stuff like that. So, yeah, it's been fun. But anyway, it is Monday, the 10th, I believe, if I got that wrong. Sorry, it's my day off. Not all there right now. No, just kidding. Yeah, and so Monday is my day off. It's the day when the shop is closed. I worked at the shop on Saturday and Sunday, but Friday night, actually, Seaver and I went down to where his parents live, down in Reedsburg, and we got to see one of our favorite authors talk and perform with his band, and that was Michael Perry. He's a Wisconsin author, born and raised in Wisconsin, and he's written a lot of memoirs just about his life in small town, rural Wisconsin. How many times can I say that in, a space of a minute? And I just got introduced to him by Seaver just like a year ago or so, and I've read read 1.5 of his books. But he has a new one out. It's called Roughneck Grace, and it's a compilation of his articles that he writes for a paper or a magazine in Wisconsin. So he was really fun to see. We got to meet him and have him sign our books, and I was a little nervous. My legs were shaking a little bit, and I don't know, he's used to people, random strangers that he doesn't know telling him how much they love his work and all this stuff, but I didn't want to sound too fangirl-esque. So, anyway, but that was really fun. So we did that Friday night, and then Seaver stayed on his parents' farm for the weekend to help his dad work and set up for hunting season because he is a bow hunter. So he was doing a little bit of I don't want to say like cleaning up the woods, but he kind of, took his chainsaw out there and trimmed off some, dead branches and did a little bit of maintenance around there so that he can go sit in the woods for a week or something, whatever he's planning on doing. But it was really fun. I went out there with him Saturday morning before I had to leave for work, and we rode through the woods on the Kubota and just got a little bit of time, about an hour before I had to leave. We spent out there, so that was really great. Getting some fresh air, and yeah, I did take a little video of us driving through the woods, which might make you guys a little car sick / seasick, but I might try and put that along with the other video I talked about in episode 3 at the end of this podcast. So cross your fingers that I can figure technology out. Technology is not my friend. I just spent like half an hour today trying to figure out how to don't laugh at me, how to turn on my webcam. That's what I use. I don't have a camera yet. I haven't invested, but I have a web camera, and for some reason it decided to turn off, and I could not figure out how to turn it back on. So that took about a half hour of my life today. before I filmed this, so I'm still a little frustrated at it. I cursed a little bit, I won't lie to you, but anyway. So let's get to knitting, because that is why you all watch, right? Not to hear about my run-ins with technology. I'll start with my knit along from Bumblebee Acres yarn, or Bumblebee Acres Fiber Farm. I think that's what they're technically called, but their website is bumblebeeacres.com. That's where you can find all of their stuff. But this is the North Remembers cowl, and it's their knit along for October. And I got to do a lot of this yesterday. So as you guys know, last week I was doing Spinzilla. I was participating in that. And Spinzilla is basically a competition where you spin as much yarn as you can from Monday until Sunday, like midnight to midnight. And I guess it would be midnight Monday, but 11:59 on Sunday. Does that make sense? Anyway, so I was doing that all last week, and I barely knit really at all, which is really strange for me. I try to get knitting in at least every day. At least every day. And if I don't, I can kind of tell the difference in my mood. I think a lot of people are like this, at least the people that I know and talk to from my friend group and from the shop. If we don't spin for a couple of days, it's almost like we get grumpy in a sense. I don't know, I can tell the difference. My stress levels just go down when I pick up knitting needles, and it's so calming to me. So anyway, I didn't really do that this past week, and I could tell. I definitely could tell. As much as I love spinning, knitting is kind of the thing I do to express myself. It's my creative outlet. It's my hobby. It's my therapy. It's my stress reliever. Yeah, it's just really cool. So Sunday, I decided to leave my spinning wheel at home. I was just going to the shop for a couple of hours for work, and I had been carting it around with me quite a bit that week, back and forth from home to the shop, so that if I had a few minutes at the shop, I could sit and spin a little. And I woke up Sunday morning with a bit of a crick in my neck, because Saturday night I stayed up a bit to spin, and I realized that when I spin, I like tilt myself down and I hunch over. I don't know why, but I was realizing that last night. So Sunday morning I wake up, I have a crick all down this like shoulder into my back. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I spent too much time spinning, like whatever. And then last night I'm spinning a little more, and I just find myself going like this and like staring at my yarn like this. No wonder I had a crick in my neck. Oh my gosh, what a weird position to spin in. So I had to make sure I compensated on that side a little. I'm just kidding. So anyway, back to Sunday at the shop. Okay, left my spinning wheel at home, and I decided I was going to knit. If we had quiet time, I was going to knit while I was there. And we did. It wasn't a quiet day customer-wise, but it was a quiet day in the sense that everyone was just kind of calm and happy doing what they were doing. We had a couple people sitting and knitting. We had a few customers in and out looking at yarn, and it was just very calm. Everyone was kind of in their own zone. It was really cool. So I did get a little bit of knitting time in, and I powered through about a whole repeat. So I have almost 2 repeats here. Oh, don't you just love those big chunky cables? Oh my gosh. I love that. So this is looking really cool, I think. It has how many different cable sets? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different cable sets, and they're all a different cable, as you can see, but they kind of all meld together. I really like that. And this cowl is going to be worn like this, horizontal. So I'm knitting it this way, but then I'll come back and I'll seam it on this side, and then I'll wear it like this. So the striping of the yarn, which I'm surprised this yarn was striping. I mean, you can see the colors are kind of coming out like that. I thought I had a little bit more barber pulling in this skein, but I must have really plied the colors very similarly together. And barber pulling, for those of you who aren't spinners, I'll give you a little look here. So you spin 2 singles separately, and then you twist them together, make a ply, and that's what gives it strength. So this is a 2-ply. I plied 2 strands of singles together. And you can see there's a bit of a tan. This maybe isn't the best example, but there's a strand of blue and there's a strand of tan, and they're like wrapping around themselves, and that's, you can see that ply there. So when there's 2 colors wrapping around each other, that's called barber pulling. And it's in reference to the poles that were hung outside of barber shops, the red and the white kind of twirling around each other. Yeah, so I must have done a little bit better of a job than I thought lining up colors in my plies. Usually I just spin randomly and don't worry about that, but yeah, so it's striping a little bit, but I don't really mind that too much. And I'm still really loving the feel of this. It's really squishy and soft. It's a little more rustic feeling, the BFL wool, than like a merino wool would be. But I think it's still really soft. Yeah. Unless you're very sensitive or allergic to wool, I'm sure it wouldn't feel as good then. But to me, it feels really good. So, still really liking that project. And yeah, so that is my first work in progress. Another work in progress, I think I did 1 or 2 rows on one night when I just couldn't spin anymore. I worked on my Dockside by Alicia Plummer, but I really didn't get any farther than what you saw last week. I finished up, if you can remember, I was in like a lace, or not a lace, a mesh pattern at the spot that I showed you last week. And I just finished that up, but I didn't move on to a new section. So I thought that'd be kind of just like repeating what I showed you last week. But I will show you the very, very start of my West Knits Mystery Knit Along. It's called Building Blocks, and he just released it on Friday. Okay, so if you are planning on doing the knit along and you don't want a spoiler alert, I'm going to be honest, there's not really much here to spoil because I just started about an hour ago. And it really doesn't look like anything yet. So I guess if you really, really, really don't want to know anything about it, then you can hit mute, close your eyes. This will only take a couple minutes, I promise, because I have barely anything finished. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to be messing up too much for you. Okay, so at the beginning, you're told to choose 4 colors of fingering weight yarn. And I chose a few out of my stash. And I told you about these last week, but I wasn't able to show you. So the first one I chose is called, I think it's called Bubble Bubble Toil and Trouble. And it's got purples and greens, and it almost is so dark it goes black in a couple of the purpley spots. I just think that's so pretty. And this was dyed by Cyborg's Classroom. Oh my gosh. Cyborg's Craft Room. That makes more sense for a yarn dyer. And I really wanted to use this. It's been in my stash for 2 years, I think, and I just found out about a month or so ago that Megan, the woman behind Cyborg's Craft Room, I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with that name, she passed away I think about 2 months ago. I think. If I got that wrong, I'm really sorry for those of you who knew her or are fans of her. But it was shocking. I had just seen her in May at Shepherd's Harvest Sheep and Wool Festival up in Lake Elmo, Minnesota, near the Twin Cities, and chatted with her. I had chatted with her the year before that when I bought this, and saw her and talked to her again this year. And she was a really, really pleasant girl, and, I didn't know her that well, but I enjoyed speaking with her. And Lisa, my friend Lisa, told me, that she had passed away, and I don't know, it just, yeah, I just wanted to do something to sort of commemorate her, even though I don't really know her, and I didn't know her that well, but it's still really sad. So I casted on with this. Her dyes were just beautiful. Just beautiful. And it's a shame she's gone, but we'll celebrate her through our knitting and our yarn. And then to go along with that, I needed to pair up 3 more colors. So I found this green, and it's probably not going to show up that great. Green is kind of a hard color for cameras to pick up, I feel. The girls of Chain 344 are always lamenting the fact that their video camera can't see green. It's kind of funny because Carolyn loves to knit with green. So I'm sure we haven't really seen the full, colors of her projects in like any of her projects the whole time they've been doing this podcast. But anyway, so this is like a light green with some grays mixed in. Yeah, it's not really gonna show up too well. It's called Herbal, and it's a yarn from Dream in Color. It's called Jilly with Cashmere is the yarn. So this is, I forget it's 70% superwash merino wool, 20% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And here, let me show you the label. Dream in Color, Jilly with Cashmere. So that one's going to be super fun. And then I had this in my stash, and this is a gray. This is called Turn by Madeline Tosh. It's their sock yarn. Oh, I forget what the base is called. Twist Light? Twist Light, yep. It's the merino and nylon sock yarn. And then, so I had those 3 picked out, and they went really well together, but I couldn't find the right purple. I wanted a purple to match my Cyborg's Craft Room, and I was complaining to Lisa how I just couldn't find the right thing. And she said, well, why don't I just take it home and dye something for you off of those colors? It pays to have a professional dyer as one of your good friends. I'll tell you that. So she took it and dyed this beautiful tonal, oh my gosh, it's so pretty, purpley pink. And it even has, let me find a spot. I don't even know if I can show you. Okay, like right in there, there's like these little specks. Okay, can you see that? Little specks of like blue and darker purple. Oh my gosh, I just love it. Yeah, so cool. So she dyed that for me, and it goes perfectly with my other colors. And I'll try and show you all 4 of them at once. This might be hazardous, but there we go. Can you see all of them? I can't tell because I'm blocking my face. There we go. I think that's all in the camera. Anyway, so those 4 are what I'm using for my shawl. and I'm very, very happy with that selection. So, I was forbidding myself from casting this on until today because of Spinzilla. I knew that if I cast it on before now, I would be tempted to forget all about Spinzilla and just knit this. So this morning, after cleaning my apartment and doing other not fun things, I cast it on and knit the first, not even the first part of the first part. So this is what it looks like so far. I just think this is so funny because apparently I'm knitting a shawl. It doesn't look like a shawl, does it? No. So it starts with an I-cord. I thought I wanted to have a little bit done today when I talked to you, just to show you kind of how it was going and to have, you know, another project that I had worked on, and I'm knitting this I-cord, and I'm like, how hilarious would it be if I just hold this up? This is my project right there. So this is the first part of the first part. Like I said, you have to knit an I-cord, and then you go along here and you pick up stitches, like 53 stitches or something, and then you start knitting, and then it kind of starts looking like the top of a shawl. I won't say any more because I don't know how many of you haven't had time to start or don't even want to look at the clues yet or haven't been able to download the clue. I don't know. But I know that spoilers can be a pretty big deal for some people. And even me, I don't want to go online and look at anything that's too far along. I've seen a couple of my friends from the shop. They've done a little bit more than me, and I've seen that, and that's fine. I just don't want to know how it all comes together yet for the first part, because there are 4 sections of the first part, and yeah, it's going to be kind of fun to just see how it all comes together. There's a lot of I-cording, though, apparently. So that's interesting. I've never started a shawl by knitting an I-cord. Stephen West, he, you know, knows how to shake it up. So, I feel like I was going to say something else about that. But now I forget. So we're just going to move on. Oh, I was going to tell you what needles I'm knitting on, which I've totally forgotten to do in the past. So these are my interchangeable set of Addy lace needles, and I have the long lace tips. So I can't make a 16-inch needle out of this, but I like the longer needles to hang on to when I'm knitting. So, and these, the long lace and the lace set in the interchangeable Addies are actually technically the Addy Turbo Sock Rockets, which I really love. I use sock rockets for pretty much anything unless I am knitting a hat. I have a lot of 16-inch bamboo needles that I bought before getting my Addy click set, and I still use those. I still use bamboo for a couple different things when when I'm using the tips I need for another project. So yeah, I'm okay using other needles too, but I do prefer those. So finished products are, let me take a sip of coffee. New mug. Well, not new to me, new to you. This is from Midway Village Museum in Rockford, Illinois. And my sister used to work here on summers away from college for a couple summers, I think. And we used to go to different events there. It's kind of a live interactive museum where they have buildings that have been restored from the area, old buildings, and people dress up in costume. The interpreters dress up in costume, lead you around the village, and tell you the history of the buildings. And a lot of them have furniture and things that are true to the time period that the building was built in. It's really cool. I love history, and going to any sort of, well, I love museums, but especially the ones like Midway Village or Old World, Wisconsin. I love that place so much. It's like over 100 acres of land and farms and rebuilt historic buildings that they've put, kind of moved to one place and put together to create this big, beautiful, museum that you can walk around, and yeah, it's very cool. I'm not going to keep going about that because I could keep going about that for I don't know how long because I love that place so much, but we're going to move on to hand spun yarn that I did for Spinzilla. Alrighty. I'm going to try not to go on tangents that don't relate to knitting. Oh no, there go my notes. Oh well. Okay, so you guys saw last week some BFL that I had on a bobbin, and this is that BFL off of the bobbin, plied. This is a 2-ply again, like the other one I showed you, and this turned out quite well, I think. I got quite a bit of yarn. I think I have about 387 yards is what I counted, and it's just soft and squishy, just like the other BFL I'm working with. So that it just solidifies how much I love it. So that was fun. Let's see, what did I do next? Oh, I did the Frabjous braid next. And I kind of wanted to use up the stuff that had been in my stash for a while. So I decided to use that. And this was the colorway Painted Desert, I think. You can look at my episode 2 to see for sure. This is also a 2-ply. Kind of boring. I don't really like venturing out of my comfort zone. I know how to Navajo ply or chain ply, I think it's also called. And I've done that a few times, but I just like the look of a 2-ply, and I actually really like the look of the barber pulling. That's what makes it obvious that it's hand spun, I think. So I like that. And this one I got, let's see, how many yards? My post-it note that I have on here. 137. Is that a 7? We're going to just say it's a 7. 137 yards. Not very much, but I had to throw a little bit of it away. I had to cut some off because it was all... Yeah, I tried winding up the very last of it because I had some left after plying. And I tried plying it back on itself so that I could keep going with the 2-ply. Those of you who don't spin, I'm really not explaining this well, but I hope that at least some spinners understand what I'm saying. So I tried to ply it on itself so that I would continue with the 2-ply, and it just wrapped around itself and knotted so badly that I was frustrated, and I cut it off and I threw it away. And that was probably a good 100 yards. No, not 100 yards. That was probably 50 yards that I could have added to this. Oh well. It was also about 1 in the morning at that point, because a few of us met at a friend's cabin here in Caledonia, Minnesota, and we did this last year, and I think they did it the year before, but I wasn't there. I was out of town. But we meet up and we spin all day into the night. We eat a lot of food. We drink a little bit of alcohol sometimes, and we just have fun and laugh and watch, not So You Think You Can Dance. Dancing with the Stars. We watched Dancing with the Stars, which was fun, and yeah, just hung out. So it was about 1 in the morning when this little episode happened, and I probably would have maybe tried to untangle it if it had been earlier. But I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have. It was wasting time. I couldn't spend my precious spinning time untangling yarn. Okay, being dramatic now. Alright, so after that one, I decided to spin my braid of Jamie from Bumblebee Acres. And this was a Cormo Cross blend of yarn from their sheep on their farm, which I think is fun. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? So this one I did do something different. Yay! I did a single. So what that means is that I just spun it all onto one bobbin. I didn't do 2 different singles and plied them together. Spun it all onto one bobbin, and then I just ran it through the wheel again to get a little bit of the twist out. Oh, sorry about that. So that it wasn't super, super curly on itself. And yeah, I really, 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 really love this. So pretty. And I think the light is picking it up pretty well. Blues, orange, green. I mean, it pretty much has all the colors. Red. And this is probably a fingering weight yarn, I would say. It's a little thick and thin. I didn't spin it completely. What's the word? Consistent? Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. And so but I would say it's still about a fingering weight. And I was thinking of doing the sock head hat with that, even though that has a really, really long brim. They like fold it up twice, I think. It has like a double brim. And then it's really slouchy. But I think if I knit it with that, I would have a little less yardage than what they call for. And so I would just cut down the size of the brim and maybe not make it quite so slouchy. But I think that would be gorgeous. It's not strong enough for socks, I don't think, because of the single ply. But I think it could be a really, really cool hat. So when I knit that, I will definitely show that to you. And I forget who, Kelly McClure is the designer of the sock head hat. Yeah, that was on my notes, which fell under my chair, but I remembered, so proud of myself. Anyway, this is the next one. I think this is my favorite. I hate to choose favorites, but I think this one takes the cake. This is from Cloud Lover. This is DK. Her color name was DK. I'm not saying that this, yeah. Oh, it's so pretty. Those teals, browns, and oranges all came together. It's less vibrant in the skein, like spun up, than it was in the braid, I think. But I still really, really, really love it. And this, I discovered, is also a superwash merino and nylon blend. And I think I might do a pair of hand-spun socks out of this too. I don't have that much yardage. It's 217 yards, and I would say it's about a DK weight that I spun there. But I'll do some really thick, squishy socks. And I usually knit my socks only a little past the ankle. I don't like really long socks. So I think I'll have enough for those, for little ankle socks. I'm excited. And I actually didn't get a chance to spin a lot of the fiber by LCB that I showed you, which I was very disappointed about. I ran out of time. I did spin up one bobbin of it, and let me go grab that. I forgot to grab it, and it's just right over there with my wheel, so 1 second. I'm not wearing sweatpants this time. Yay. Okay. So, this is the Hidden Pine Trails colorway. I'm hoping that all the colors get picked up there. And you can see there's a lot of browns, a lot of kind of white and off-white, teals, almost like a reddish brown up there. I'm not sure how well you can see that. But really, really long color changes, which is kind of cool. And this is all that I managed to spin by the end of Spinzilla last night. So I'm still counting it. I'm not gonna do official yardage. You have to send in your yardage and all that stuff. I'm not gonna do official yardage until I finish spinning the other bobbin. I'll apply it together and I'll just take half of the, or I'll just count, because technically you get points for both singles. You get to double it, and then triple it if you apply them together. But I won't count those. I'll just count the one single. So I'll have to do that within the week, I think, so I can turn in my yardage. So I really, really enjoyed spinning with it. It was a 100% merino wool. I don't believe it's superwash, but it's one of the high micron counts, so it's super, super, super soft, amazingly soft. And yeah, I really, really loved spinning it. I did that last night during the debate. I did watch the presidential debate. I'm not really going to say much about that. I think a lot of you share my opinion on this presidential race. Yeah, so let's just say I spun. I kept my hands busy. I kept my mind only half on the debate, and then most of it was on my spinning so that I wouldn't chuck something at the TV. But it was a fun spin. And I really look forward to doing the rest of it. I didn't get to the apple cider, spiced apple cider colorway, which is my other planned hand spun sock roving. That didn't make sense. I feel like I said those words completely out of order. That is the other braid of fiber that I'm planning on spinning up for socks. Maybe that made more sense. Anyway, so I'll get to that soon, hopefully as well, although I think I'm a little spun out after I finish up this this hank of yarn. This beautiful, beautiful hank of fiber. Oh. Sorry, I like making like angels singing in the heavens noises when I look at pretty yarn and fiber, because, you know, that's what I feel like would happen. So, anyway, yeah, so I think the rest of today I'm going to be knitting a little more, because now finally I can knit and not feel guilty about it. And Seaver and I are going to go up to an apple orchard, which will be fun. I think I already mentioned that. And I was thinking about making some apple pie, because I haven't yet this fall, and I have some apples in my fridge that need eating. They're going to go bad soon. And I just love filling the house with the smell of apple pie. I have an apple-scented candle. Oh, you can't see it. Apple-scented candle going there on my desk. So the apartment smells a little bit like apples, but there's nothing quite like the smell of fresh apple pie. So maybe I'll do that too. And I just finished the last of the Little Bobbins podcast episodes. I'm all caught up. And so I have to find a new podcast to watch. I don't really know where to start looking. There are a few that pop up for the recommended for you videos. And a couple of them have been mentioned by my favorite podcasters, so maybe I'll go back through and kind of see which ones they recommend. But I was wondering if you guys had any suggestions. If you watch other podcasts, I've watched Chain 344, A Homespun House, and Little Bobbins all the way through, and I'm just kind of looking for recommendations now, I guess. And you can comment on the YouTube video on my channel if you'd like, or I also have been thinking about maybe starting a Ravelry group. I know most podcasts have one, and it's kind of a good way to keep in touch and discuss things that you've talked about on the podcast and get your feedback. And then if I ever want to do knit-alongs or giveaways or anything, that would be a good way to kind of handle those. So, but I'll put that on my Instagram account if I do open up a Ravelry, or just go look, maybe search the group tab for Driftless Knitting. That's what it would be under. Maybe I'll do that today. I'll set one up. So, and my Instagram account is Driftless Knitter. So not Driftless Knitting, but Driftless Knitter. Yeah, more like I'm the Driftless Knitter and this is Driftless Knitting. That makes sense, hopefully. And yeah, come find me on there and maybe comment on the podcast post or something today that I put out. What your favorite podcasts are, and yeah, hopefully I can start watching another one. I'm kind of addicted to them, and yeah, I'm gonna miss Danny from Little Bobbins. I know she'll probably come out with a new episode soon, but I was kind of used to binge watching all of her episodes, and I feel lost. Anyway, so I have been also watching, sorry, still on this podcast thing rant, I've been watching some of Chain 344's Vlogtober episodes, which are like mini video blog segments, and Carolyn's been doing those on her, she lives and works on a horse farm, or it's a stables, I guess. They board horses and things like that, and I've been watching her videos, which are great. She did a 10 things you didn't know about her. I knew a couple of them, but then there were things that were funny or surprising or whatever, and a couple things I totally agreed with her. She hates horror movies, and I hate them. I plug even when a commercial comes on for a horror movie, I close my eyes, I plug my ears, and I like dance around the room until I know that the commercial's off. If I get any sort of a visual of or a sound or something, nope, can't do it. So she was talking about that. I'm like, me too, me too, me too. Yeah, I was talking to my computer. That's okay. So that's been really fun, and seeing her little guy, Ernest, kind of running around with her. Oh, I'm supposed to give a shout out to Ernest. So hi, Ernest. Hi. I told her I would do that because I guess he was waving the last time she watched one of the episodes of my podcast. He was waving at the screen and trying to get my attention and shouting hello. So I told her I'd give him a shout out. But anyway, go check them out. Those are really, really fun to watch. And then, yeah, give me your suggestions. What should I watch next? I love podcasts. I'm addicted to podcasts, and I need a new one. So help a girl out. Oh, sorry. I should stick to knitting, huh? Okay. Well, I think this just about does it for me. And I hope you all have a fantastic week. I am so glad that I got the chance to sit down and talk to you and with you and at you a little bit. And yeah, I can't wait to see you again. So thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.